Ready?
Yep.
As promised, this is our long overdue American submachine gun video. And of course, if you're going to start off with an American submachine gun, you have to go for the classic Thompson. This is a semi-auto version. It was assembled from an original 1928 A1 kit by MK Gun Mods, marked down there in Florida. It is a semi-auto now, but it was a re-weld for an original receiver. This is an original 1928 A1 receiver that was bandsaw cut back in the 90s and put back together with a blocking bar for a semi-auto bolt. The bolt is original. Pretty much all the parts are original. The only new components is the semi-auto trigger group. This is hammer fired. The trigger group's actually modified from an AR-15. Has the original 10-inch barrel with extension and compensator on it. Once the SBR paperwork comes back, that'll be coming off. Got the original cuts in there. Has the Lyman adjustable rear sight. Kind of nice. Takes standard drums and stick mags. This is a 20-round mag runner right now. Has the original fire selector and safety for the look. The fire selector is now the actual safety, which is funny, but you know, semi-auto conversions. This one doesn't really do much back here. It's just for the look of the thing. It does have the quick detach buttstock. You just press in, pull it off. It's tightened down right now for shooting. Holds an oiler and some patches in the stock there. Has a reproduction care sling on it from Numeric, I believe. But yeah, I wanted a Thompson, but I didn't want to just go with the typical auto ordnance, you know, the modern production. Nothing against them. They're good guns for the money, but I wanted something with original parts, and this one here is all original. Even the receiver is. It's just a re-weld from 3 pieces of an original that was demilled, so it's legal, perfectly legal, and ATF approved. Just to have a Thompson in the collection. This is the model 1928 A1, which was the first model used by the U.S. military. It's different from the 28 in the sense that it doesn't have the vertical grip. It has the horizontal grip, as you can see in the front sling swivel. These were used early on. The M1 and the M1A1 came later. They were cheaper cost savings measures. Also, they were side cocking, not top cocking, and they did not feed from drums. But this was the classic gun that was used in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. These were in service all the way up through the Vietnam era. 45 ACP, of course. And yeah, just a lot of, I mean, they are heavy. They're not a whole lot lighter than an M1 Grand, actually. But since this was the first submachine gun ever designed, for the most part, it was designed at the very end of World War I and immediately after. Then the design was first manufactured by Colt and then by the Auto Ordnance Corporation and so on and so forth. You know, they didn't, all milled receiver metal parts. Just a classic American submachine gun. But yeah, this was a custom build down there in Florida by Mark, and very pleased with how it turned out. Nice condition, but it has enough wear on it to show you that it is an original parts kit. You know, it's not all pretty and stuff. It's, you know, just a good representation. It does have the finned barrel, as you can see. Nice bore in it. I do have 30-round mags, although today we just brought out the 20s. I don't have a drum yet. I may pick one up later, but I'm not a big drummer. Never have been. It disassembles just like a standard Thompson. Press in, pull the lower off, take your guts out. It does have the oiler still in it. But yeah, just thought we'd share with this. We'll move on. Next up for our American submachine guns is a Rising Model 60. Really, this is technically a submachine gun. Well, this is a semi-auto carbine version, but the original Rising was a submachine gun, even though it looks more like a rifle. In all honesty, it reminds me a lot of the M1 carbine. But the Rising was developed immediately before World War II. Like the Thompson, it shoots 45 ACP. It takes its own proprietary magazines. In it right now, we have a 12-rounder. We have some 20s over there. but they used both. The 12s are interesting because it's basically a 20 with dimples on the side, making it a single stack only feed. They did that for reliability. The fact that there was a machine gun with a 12-shot mag is interesting in itself. It's a straight, standard blowback gun. Most interesting feature mechanically is how it cocks. There's a cutout in the bottom of the stock, if you can see it there, with the finger groove. And you just put your finger in and it is reciprocating though, so once you shoot, don't put your finger in there unless you like it getting banged up against steel. It's definitely a unique gun. Shoulders well, comfortable. Much lighter than the Thompson. Still nice quality manufacture. Has adjustable rear sight. It's kind of crazy. You lift up and pull back. It's meta sheet steel. This one has the late style mag catch, which you can both push or pull on. Push it out. It's stiffer when you push, or you can just pull it out. Safeties here, 3-position. Now, the original Model 50 Rising was purchased in large quantities. About 150,000 were purchased by the U.S. Marines and used in the early days of the Pacific. They had 10-inch barrels. Some of them had cuts compensators. And there's also a Model 55 with the folding wire stock. The Rising would have made and did make a very good police gun or home defense. It was reliable when well maintained, lightweight, easy to operate. It just didn't stand up well to the sands and salts of the Pacific. Then again, in those environments, even M1 Grands jammed up. So it was a harsh proving ground. One thing that did harm them though was a lot of the parts were hand fitted, so you didn't have total interchangeability of parts. So if something broke, and there are quite a few small piddling parts on these that can break, it was hard to replace, or at least more difficult than some other guns. Now the Model 60 was a semi-auto carbine made back in the 40s by Harrington and Richards. It was, Harrington and Richards made all the Risings. It has an 18-inch barrel because back then that was the minimum barrel length, unlike today when it's 16, it was 18. No cuts compensator. The stock is slightly different. Other than that though, and of course not being full auto, it still even has, like you saw before, the 3-position selector. It's just, it has a question mark for the 3rd position. It's kind of strange. But all they did was they removed the disconnector and the full auto parts. This is about before they had the once a machine gun, always a machine gun. So they used a lot of the same parts and assemblies for the semi-auto that they did for the full. They only made about 3,000, maybe 2,500 of these. Not very many. This one's serial number 18 or 1900, somewhere in there. I picked it up early this year at a local gun shop. Just ran into it online, went down and visited, negotiated with him, and came home with it. It's something I've always thought would be neat to own. The Model 65 in 22 is relatively common. You can find those, but finding a Model 60 in 45 is not always easy to do. They tend to go for quite a bit these days, $18,000, $2,000 and up. But this one's in okay shape. I bet it was an ex-police gun. Has a little crack here on the stock, which I need to get fixed. And, bluing wear, but just honest wear from being an old 70-year-old gun. But it definitely was used by the military, especially early on during World War II. And it does take its own proprietary type mags. This is a 12, as I said. They also made them in 20. That was the standard double stack size. They're very similar to Thompson mags, but not interchangeable. Most of these were pulled out of service by the end of World War II. They didn't make it on to Korea and Vietnam. They just didn't really have what it took to cut. In a lot of ways, these go in my mind with the 1941 Johnson in 30-06 as early, prototypes used during World War II. Not really prototypes, but early examples that didn't make it. But it definitely saw service and is included in this American submachine gun collection. Well, we'll move on. Go ahead. And finally, for our 45 cal American submachine gun, we have a grease gun. This is one made by Valkyrie Arms this year, 2014. And it's actually a bit of a special edition for my company. And what's nothing terribly unique about it, but these are being sold as pistols with carbine conversion kits included. This is obviously the carbine barrel. This is the optional fake OSS style suppressor with a IMA wrap on it here. Original grease gun magazine. What's a little unique about these that they're doing for us is that they have an original M3A1 style buttstock on it, which has the mag loading tool right here. And it's just nice because it's an original component. It's nice and flimsy, just like the originals were. And other original parts on these are the dust cover assembly here. You can see the felt in there. The mag catch is original. The sling on this one's original. Most of the parts are reproduction because there just aren't grease gun parts kits available. But she uses the original parts she can. The lower frame is made of metal. Has the oiler down here. Simple style sights, sling swivels. Cocks just like an original grease gun. Just put your finger in here and these newer versions have lightened springs, so they're a bit easier to cock, but still reliable. The barrel just unscrews like on an original, and if you want to have the pistol, it's just the 8-inch pistol barrel. You can screw on, take your stock off, and put a different pin in the back here, so you can't put a stock on, or you can put it on, but it won't lock or fix or anything. But yeah, Valkyrie is still making these. They're doing most of the welding and stuff in-house now, so quality's quite nice. Nice welding on them. I'm quite impressed. Very heavy-duty feeling gun. Like I said, the stock's got some wobble to it, but so does the original, because it is original. Feeds from standard GI 30-round mags. Just go right in. The M3 grease gun was first adopted in 1942 and served some in World War II, though the Thompson was still the most prevalent. The M3A1 came about in 1944, although they didn't start to field it till 45. It introduced the simplified cocking mechanism, a different style of dust cover, some different, just little different things, different style lower frame, and put the oiler in the stock. Now the M3A1 served for a long time. It was in Korea, Vietnam. It was still even issued to tankers during the first Gulf War. They retired it in 1991. It's basically the American Sten gun. They took a gun, it's just a straight tube gun, firing 45 ACP, trying to make it as cheap but reliable as possible. And that's what they got. The full auto versions had a slow cyclic rate, so they boom, boom, boom. They were just full auto only, but very controllable at that. And just a chunk of America. Valkyrie's been making these on and off for about 15 years now. The only other company that's mass-produced semi-auto grease guns was Broadhead Armory back in the 80s, and they only made about 1 to 200. And I have to say, after having a Broadhead and comparing it to Valkyrie, I think the build quality on the Valkyrie is far superior. The Broadhead, frankly, when I was very excited to get one last year, and when I got it, I was pretty disappointed. It didn't really impress me. The lower was cast and was sand cast at that, so it had a lot of dimples and craters and divots and just not very smooth. Wasn't very reliable. I think the Valkyries, especially the newer ones, are just a better made gun. But yeah, just thought I'd share. If you would like to see more, we've got a video up on the Swedish K. We've got another one up on the UMP, if you like 45s. But these are the three main American 45 submachine guns. After the grease gun, they pretty much replaced any submachine guns in service with AR-15 style carbines. Thanks for tuning in.